Hello, YouTubers. This is Palm Springs Cindy. I would like to thank all of my new subscribers and for everyone who watched my last video. I have never had such a wonderful response to any one of my videos, at least in such a short time. So I want to say thank you. I want to say welcome aboard. So I have two things that I really want to talk about. One of them is a reflection from my divorce. I was married for 43 years, and actually we dated 2.5 years before we got married. So we were together a long time, and we had a very nice marriage for many, many years. But then there came a time where things, I'm not going to get personal, but things changed, and I became unhappy to the point that I did seek a divorce. And, there are a lot of reasons why people change. There are a lot of reasons why people grow in different directions. But I decided at that point in my life, at 68, to seek a divorce. And at first we were separated for 2 years. And when we both felt like this is how it's going to be, then that's when we filed for divorce. So I think, when I was contemplating divorce, I talked to my family, my mother, my siblings. It was not a decision made lightly. And, looking back on that decision, I'm going to say 4 years later, since it's been 4 years since I've been divorced, these are some of my thoughts. And I think in terms of what I gave up, what losses that I suffered from getting divorced. I knew that if I indeed made the decision to start the divorce, that my life would change profoundly. And these are some of the ways my life did change. Number one, we had been living in the same beautiful home for 34 years. Now, my ex-husband was a general contractor, and he built our home, and it was absolutely stunning. And like I said, we lived in it for 34 years. So I knew I was going to have to give up my home. And I also knew that I was going to have to do the legwork on the divorce. So I'm the one that cleaned out the house. He certainly cleaned out his stuff, but I think most of that responsibility fell on me, which I did. And when we sold our home, the person who bought our home bought everything in the house. Now, saying that, I did take out some art pieces and some furniture that I really liked, and so did he. But there was still the majority of our furniture and household things were left in the house. My other home was very big. It had extremely high ceilings and wide open spaces, and the furniture was quite large. It would not have gone in this home at all. So I knew selling the furniture with the house was the right idea. Bottom line, I gave up my home of 34 years. Now, saying that, I was ready to do that. In fact, that was a variable in our divorce. The house was getting really a little bit too big for the two of us and too cluttered, and I was really ready to scale down, to get rid of things, to clean out the attic, to clean out the garage, to really go through the house and get rid of things that we had harbored for so many years. And that was really starting to get to me, the overwhelming feeling of stuff that we had accumulated in our 43 years of marriage. And so when we sold the house, of course, the owner kept the things she wanted to keep, and everything else had been cleaned out. So I know I've had a lot of people say some very negative things, but in my case, our home was paid for. When the when our home was sold, we split the equity, which that was the way to go. He had put as much into the house as I had. And in California law, 50-50, he kept his retirement, I kept my retirement, and we went our separate ways. So, it wasn't like he did not give me money after we were divorced. I did not give him money after we were divorced. We were on our own. And so he moved on and I moved on. And so that's when I bought the house I'm in now. And I have a very good friend that I've actually grown up with, and she lives not very far from me. So she knows this area. And she was the realtor that I used to buy my current home. She knows me, she knows my family, she knew the situation. So she led me to Trilogy Polo Club, and partly because they were new homes and I knew I wanted a new home. I was not in a position where I could buy an older home and then fix it up. That was something I could not do. So I moved into this new home in a 55 plus community with a very active HOA, clubhouse, everything active going on. And that was what I wanted. Plus the HOAs here at Trilogy Polo were not quite as high as they were in other areas. Like my realtor said, Cindy, you can afford the house. You can't afford the high HOAs. And she was right. So she found me just the perfect home in the perfect area. And actually, everybody that lives here at Trilogy, we have made some good equity in our homes already. In fact, I believe there's a waiting list to buy a home here in Trilogy Polo Club. So let's see, what else did I lose by getting divorced? I lost a lot of my friendships because my ex-husband and I, basically, I'm not going to say we grew up together, but in a way, our young adulthood was together. And all of our friends that we met together and friends that he had or that I had were our friends. And so when we got divorced, those were friends that I had to move on from. Now, I made the decision. I was very uncomfortable with friends that we had shared together. I was embarrassed that I was divorcing. I was a bit humiliated, and I did not really want to face my friends and discuss the divorce. I didn't want to talk about it, and they were all couples. So I lost the couple. I lost the couple status. And those of you who are single know exactly what I mean. So I lost many, many friends, and the regular activities that we used to enjoy together. Things that, when on this day we always go to the to the horse club or whatever. And on this day, we always go line dancing, or on this day, the kinds of things that we did with our friends, we did as a group. We even traveled as a group. And so those friendships were I could no longer partake. And I knew before I got my divorce, I knew that. And I knew I was going to have to start a new life. That's what my banner says on my YouTube channel. New age, I just turned 70, new life. So I moved to Trilogy, and that was as exciting as that was, it was still hard because first of all, it was the middle of COVID. And so there was, as much as I wanted to order new furniture and things, nothing was arriving. No boats were moving. And so I could go online, I could order a couch or a chair, but they would say, it won't be delivered for 2 months or whatever. And I actually, once I started cleaning out my other home, I got to the point where it was very hard for me to stay there with all the memories and everything. And my ex-husband was not there. So I was there by myself, and I chose to start spending the night with friends, getting out of my home. I began to separate from the home of 34 years. So when I moved into this home, I was really ready to make a nest because I'm a homebody and I'm a nester. So it did take me some time. I made some poor decisions because I was moving way too fast about decor, about styles of furniture, about painting, whatever. But all in all, things have settled down now, and I love my home, and I just love the comfort of it, and I love everything that, all my decisions that I've made in decorating it. So let's see, what have I lost because I was divorced? Well, I lost my husband, and of course I knew that, that's the name of the game. But along with the loss of him is the loss of a partner, the loss of a spouse, the loss of a friend, the loss of that buddy in life. So when I bought this house, when I made the decisions for this house, they were, I was alone, and I had to do that alone, which I knew and I did, but it is still a loss. It's almost like a death because, I haven't even seen him in 6 years. I also lost a certain amount of financial backing, I'll say, because now I'm living on my income and not our income. I broke up our family unit, and I knew that, but we have one daughter who is an adult, who is living on her own, who is very independent, and so when I made the decision to divorce, it wasn't like she was 3 or 4. She was an adult woman. And I know that I didn't just hurt myself in the divorce, but I hurt him and I hurt her. And I think I couldn't see that at the time. I was hurting so badly that I couldn't see their pain. So, moving on, I guess. Was it the right decision for me? I'm going to say yes and no. I will never know, because if I had stayed with him, would I have just sunk into darkness? Would I have sunk into depression? Would it have taken all the joy from my life? I will never know, because I chose not to stay. And even though I was older, I was 68 when we separated, 70 when we divorced, I knew that most likely I would probably not meet another man. And I knew that most likely I would be making all new friends. And I also knew that I was going to have to create an all new home for myself. Now, I know that because I'm the only one in the house, and when I was married, even though, I wasn't real happy, there is something to be said about just knowing someone else is in the house. Just knowing someone is in that room watching that TV while someone else is over in that room making hot tea or something. So it is a little bit strange. That's part of what my last video was about, living alone and being lonely. And that is a kind of loneliness that I certainly live with. However, there is also a pleasure about living by myself, living independently. And for those of you who live by yourself, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think I may have brushed on this in my last video. Being able to, if I'm awake in the middle of the night, I can get up, I can turn the TV on, I can make a cup of hot tea. I don't have to worry about waking someone else up. When it comes to watching television, I can watch whatever I want. I can channel surf however I want. When it comes time, if I don't want to sit in the living room and I want to go in my office and do some editing or get on the computer for whatever reason, I don't have to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. When I spend money, I don't have to explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So, there are many, many good reasons and good things about living on your own, living by yourself. I want to be in love. I want romance. I want holding hands, listening to music together, walking together, laughing together, being intimate together. I would like to fall in love, but I'm very aware that, chances are I'm not even going to say that, because I believe that there is power in words. And here's the other part of that falling in love dilemma. I am a Christian and a Bible believer, and I know it says in the Bible that being together sexually, living together, and things, coming together, that is not allowed unless you are married. And, I'm 74 and I have less years to live than to live. And I want to be right by Jesus. I want to be right by the Bible. And so it's even harder to find a man that would be a Christian partner with me, that would understand where I'm coming from when it comes to commitment and life partner. Because so many older people don't really want to be legally married. Once they find the right person, they want to make like a personal vow to God, to be blessed, and then, to live as if they were married. And I'm not sure about that. Maybe that's okay in God's eyes if we stand before God and make our pledge. But I just know that in the Bible, it says, that you need to be married before you become intimate. And I know times have changed since the Bible times. People live a lot longer. And, does that allow for any changing of the Bible? I'm a little bit confused on that issue, but I would rather err on the side of being right with my God than not. So if you can relate to this at all, please let me know, because it is a dilemma. And there you go. I think if I did meet someone and he loved me enough, then he was a Christian, of course he would have the same beliefs that I have. But it doesn't make it any easier when you do want to have romance and you do want to have a man in your life. It can become a real deal breaker. So regarding that, P.S. I love you. And until our next conversation. Bye-bye.